presidential candidate in this race. But here in New York, the most important race that we're going to have this year is for your Senate. We've got total domination and control by one party. And that one party gave complete control of all government to our governor. My mask says, or my mask is as useless as our governor, because he passed the SAFE Act in the wee hours of the morning. Now, when John Bonisic and Bill Larkin and George Amedure and Jim Seward were our senators, we had 4 Republican senators. And we need to get 4 back. Because without Republican having control of the New York State Senate, there's one-party rule. And that one-party rule gave us bail reform. And I'll let the guys talk about the issue. You guys know the issue. But I will tell you, the most important thing you can do right now is to go back and tell your members that, you know, a lot of people go on in, I'm going to vote for President Trump, and they put a little circle in and they walk out, and they don't go down the line. You got to tell them to go down the line. Because the most important race in New York State this year is for the New York State Senate. We need to flip 6 seats. Because without flipping them seats, next year they're going to take and they're going to redistrict New York State. Because in the census, every 10 years they draw new district lines. And when it's called gerrymandering. And when they draw those lines, you can damn well be assured that they're going to not let Republicans ever get control of the New York State Senate again. So as far as one-party rule in New York State, if we don't get off our asses and do something this year, we're sunk. So I couldn't say in more harsh words to anybody that we need you to vote for our president, but we need you to vote for Senate more importantly. So, any particular order for these guys to go in?
Nope.
I'm going to reach for the first guy right here. A good friend of ours, former state trooper, Rich Amedure. I call him Rick, but his mother and I are the only ones that call him Rick. All right.
I'll give you the door pitch because I know we got a lot of people to speak tonight. 31-year trooper. Last 4 years I spent as vice president of Troopers Union. Very familiar with all the issues that involved. I was a firearms instructor right down in Maybrook here for the last 25 years. Second Amendment is near and dear to my heart. We have a lot of guns. We own a lot of guns. My son is in the military. My daughter's going to be a doctor of physical therapy. I got into this race a lot because of bail reform, because that is a debacle. Bail reform is a nightmare. If you know anything about the criminal justice system, you know they've gutted the criminal justice system. But I also want to make it so our kids have a future in the state of New York, because right now we're running people out way too fast. So we need you to get out and vote. This is the biggest thing. We had the SAFE Act, which was a disaster. 2 million gun owners sat home and did not come out. We need you to come out. We need you to get your friends to come out. We need to get your family to come out. If you want to reach out to the campaign, I'm not going to give you all the stuff tonight, but I cover the towns of Lloyd, Esopus, Kingston, City of Kingston, Saugerties, Woodstock, Hurley, and Marbletown. So if you're in any of those, I'd be representing you if you elect me. My cousin George is not running anymore. He's taking, he's leaving the Senate, so I figure with name recognition it should help, especially in the northern end. Hinchy is a big name in Ulster County, but nobody knows we're north of here. I'm going to clearly win the next 4, the northern 4 counties, but I need Ulster County. This is why this is so important down here, because the place she's banking on is the city of Kingston and everybody coming out en masse for her, making a gap that we can't make up. We can make it up. With your help, I'll do it. I've been to a lot of the clubs up in my area already, Saugerties, Wittenberg, and Southside. If you want me to come to your club, if I didn't come to your club already, I gladly will. So, any questions I'll take? I'm not going to speak all night.
You had said that you thought Woodstock and Saugerties were going to be key in the election.
Yep, Saugerties is about 30,000 people. Saugerties and the city of Kingston kind of vie back and forth for how many people are, but that's where the bulk of the population is. So we've been doing door knocking. We did last Sunday. We spent hours in Saugerties with Chris Tegg. He's the assemblyman from up there, and also Kyle Vanderwater. We had all of our groups come together. We all shared information. We knocked on a lot of doors. Everybody said Saugerties was a Republican town years ago, and everybody thought there's no Republicans left. They're still there. You just got to go get them. You got to motivate them. You got to get them fired up. I was a drill sergeant in the Army too. That was what I did for a living, fired up people. So believe me, put me in front of somebody. get me, if somebody's not sure if they're gonna vote for me, contact the campaign with a phone number, we'll reach out to them, we'll try to convince them. I'm on the phone all day, I'm knocking on doors, I'm doing anything I can. We're gonna win this district, we're gonna win that seat, and we need to win it. I can't go there alone, I need Mike, I need everybody, Brescia, I need Pete, he's outside. We need everybody. We can't, you can elect me alone and I can sit up there and, you know, cry and win, but we need a critical mass so we can take this Senate back. Somebody asked me the other day, well, you're gonna be in the minority almost most likely. I said, look, a dedicated minority, military tactics, we all know, a dedicated minority can be a formidable force. We will get stuff done. And the most of what we're gonna do is block the really bad stuff coming out of the New York City dominated legislature right now. Like Roger said, I'm not gonna repeat everything Roger said, but it's all New York City right now, and they are just running roughshod. I have a 70-acre farm. I'd love to leave it to my kids, but can I leave it to them? It's a burden around their neck right now, the way taxes and everything are in the state of New York. So, listen, I want my future to be here, I want my kids' future to be here, and I want all of our futures to be here. I love what you guys have done here. This is a beautiful way of preserving land, 220 acres and then leasing more land. That's what has to happen. I was planning board chairman, I always looked for Rod Gun Club to help them out with doing whatever they needed to do. So, again, I don't want to talk all night. Any other questions? Thank you, appreciate it. Please come out. Again, reach out to the campaign. We're going to try to do anything we can to get everybody to vote. Absentee, we prefer you vote in person. That's our preference. I just think it's going to be safe and it's going to be, you're going to make sure you get it. Absentee ballots, can have marks on them and blah, blah, blah. We know how that goes. So voting in person, early voting, you can get to the polls early. There's going to be polls open 10 days before the election. So please get there. Please vote and convince a couple other people to do it too. Thank you very much.
Does anybody remember Senator Bonison?
Yeah, we all do.
He
Yeah.
served us well. He was one of those guys that helped out schools, helped out women, and was taking tackle to keep the Democrats from running our taxes up. He left and we got Jen Metzger from Rosendale. Jen Metzger's, she's part of that bail reform stuff. She claims she loves farmers, but she does nothing. We got a guy right here that's going to take Jen Metzger out. His name is Mike Martucci. He's a very successful businessman, young guy, and he presents well, and you're going to love him. This is going to be our next senator for 40 seconds, Mike Martucci.
So good evening, thank you all so much for having me here. So look, I'll echo what Rich said. As I said, it's my honor to be here with you tonight and stand with you. I'm running against Jen Metzger, and I don't know what you know about Senator Metzger, but she's given us a couple of real big gifts over the past 2 years. One of them has been dangerous bail reform, which Rich talked about. So I guess I'll talk about something different. I'll talk about taxes, right? So what's happened in this state with taxes? Democrats have given us $1 billion of new taxes their first year in office and $5 billion of taxes over the next 3. And what are they talking about doing today? They're talking about raising taxes again, right? So this is something that we're absolutely beating our heads against every single day. We're here to say no, a big fat no to new taxes, because taxing our way out of this problem isn't the way that we're going to fix things. As Roger said, I grew up here my whole life in Orange County. Senate District covers 6 towns in Ulster County, one of which we're standing in right now. So it's kind of the southern part of Ulster County, up through Gardner, New Paltz, and Rosendale. So, I'm in this race because I have 3 small children. I have a 5-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter, and a 1-year-old daughter who will be 1 next week. And as Roger said, I own my own business. I started a school bus company when I was 22 years old, and I grew the company from the first school bus to 550 employees, mostly all based in Orange County, some right here in Ulster. And I know firsthand how bad it is to do business here in New York. I know firsthand the struggles that all the families you all deal with in terms of affordability here. And then, of course, last but not least, the absolute assault on lawful gun ownership that's been going on in this state and continues to go on in this state. What we've seen happen in the last 2 years has been an effort to handcuff our cops and restrict the rights of our lawful gun owners and release our criminals and set them free. which is disgusting to me and all the other people that are running. So I thank you so much for your support. I'll be here for a little while as well. I have an event tonight, but I left information at the door. I hope to be lucky enough to serve as your next senator and carry on the legacy that John Bonasek worked so hard for, which is about preserving our way of life and representing our values. So thank you so much.
Mike, can you just say your towns again? It's,
So it's the towns of Denning, Shawangum, Rosendale, coming back down to kind of the top side, Rosendale, New Paltz, and Garden.
Wallkill,
And Wawarson, yes.
and Wallkill,
Yes.
Wawarson, and Village in New Paltz, right? Village and town in New Paltz?
Yeah, everything in the town.
Got it.
Yeah, Village and Allenville, which is in Wawarson.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I get to introduce Mike again next week at another event, and if his father doesn't let me hunt his farm, I'm gonna say just the opposite of what he said. His father's got a beautiful place down there in Fort Jervis, beautiful. Anyway, our next senator, Bill Dwaarkill, used to be the town of Shawangum's assemblyman years ago. And they redistricted, and next thing you know, he went from the assembly to the Senate. And he served us well for a lot of years. Unfortunately, Bill passed away last year, and we lost that seat when it was open. And right now, it took a little bit of coaxing, but there's a guy sitting right here, Steve Brescia, that I know well. You put on the thing, he's the mayor of the village of Montgomery. Well, he's also the chairman of the county legislature in Orange County. He's the guy that keeps taxes low in Orange County. He's the guy that fights against the liberal left. And he's the guy that's going to be our next senator representing Dwaarkill and Marlborough here in Ulster County, Steve Brescia.
Thanks, Roger. As Roger said, it's Dwaarkill and Marlborough, but I see a lot of Orange County guys out here, and ladies. But Amedure and Martucci stole the two issues that I was going to talk about. So I'm going to touch on both of them a little bit. Bail reform was probably the main reason, the catalyst that got me into the race. But a small business from whence I come is the other reason. Because the state is really running, you can see the mess they're making. They had a $7 billion deficit pre-COVID, $14 billion afterward. They spend like drunken sailors. And it's the antithesis of what I stand for. I mean, I come from small business, hard work. I sold roofing to Scott Kramer's father. John Cesario built this building, built a lot of buildings for my father. Mark Doty bought lumber for me for many years. That's where I come from, small, hard-working business. And I've always worked in the private sector, by the way, during my tenure in public office. But, things are a mess. I mean, it's in Orange County. I've been chairman for 7 years of the legislature. Years ago, we had the best bond rating in the state of New York, and we dipped in 2014 and 15, and we're getting right back up there. But every year since the inception of the tax cap, which the state imposed on us, but doesn't impose on itself, we've always been under that tax cap. And, we've managed things properly the way they should be managed, like the state of New York. I mean, what are we going to do now with a $14 billion deficit? We really need to cut off the excessive spending that they have, the $400 million tax break for Hollywood, $100 million for public funded campaigns, which is bullshit. Excuse me, sorry about that. But, I mean, it is. This is the kind of spending. Bail reform, I come from one of the safest villages in the country, number 74 on a survey of the FDR. And I'm very proud of that. And it's not from defunding our police. And my opponent says he isn't for defunding the police, but he's running on the Working Families Party, which is certainly for defunding police. So it's just, I'm running on a common sense approach, and I think the three other gentlemen here tonight are running on the same kind of approach. Mike Martucci, very successful businessman. Rich Amedure worked in law enforcement, has a big farm. We know the values that you guys are looking at. I've gotten the NRA endorsement. I got an AQ, I guess, on the questionnaire, and my opponent got an F. And I also got backing of the Federation of Sportsmen in Orange County and BlackRock as well. They don't endorse, but they're certainly backing me. But we come from the same worlds, and I'm a handshake kind of guy where my handshake is my bond. And I think we're preaching to the choir here today because, we're on the same page as you guys, like Roger said. I've known Roger for many years, great salt of the earth guy. That's where we come from. So, any questions?
Yeah, maybe any of you other guys want to chip in too, but what do you think it's going to take for us to make any headway about reversing the SAFE Act? What do you think it's going to take for us to get Letitia to just stop the anti-Second Amendment. Is that something that the Senate can do if we have the Senate?
Well, we can certainly voice our concerns once we get up there.
Yeah,
I don't know if George might know better than,
Let me,
Rich, I'm sorry.
let me interject here. We have two parts of government, the Assembly and the Senate. The Assembly has been gerrymandered with New York City, and they dominate, and out of 150 assemblymen, I think we have like 38. We're way down. And in order for a law to change, you have to have the Assembly vote on it, you have to have the Senate vote on it, and then you have to have the governor sign it. The harsh reality that you guys don't want to hear is that we're never going to get the Assembly to repeal the SAFE Act. We can peg away at little pieces of it, make some of it go away, but when we get the Republican senators up there in the majority, they can stop any new legislation. Last year, there were 64 bills to further restrict our right to bear arms in the New York State Assembly. 64. And every damn one of them about whether or not you're going to have to lock your gun up if you have a kid in the house, you're going to have to live. I mean, it just kept going on and on and on. They've got 64 different bills. But the harsh reality is, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but the SAFE Act's not going to go away. SAFE Act will not go away as long as we have New York City as part of New York State, because they're not going to let it happen. All we can do is elect Republicans to stop any further erosion of our constitutional rights we have here in New York. So,
No, I concur with Roger on that. My opponent didn't vote for the SAFE Act when he was in the Assembly, but he voted, you know, Sheldon Silver gave him a pass back in the day. The guy that's either in jail or out on release, but he did vote for all the ancillary legislation which gave it lifeblood. So we can't deny that. But like Roger said, I don't think it's going to go away, but we get up there, we can start nibbling away and present our values in a positive way.
And legislatively, it might not, but the Supreme Court, you gotta remember now, is gonna be a 6-3 conservative majority. So there is other avenues we can take, right? We're gonna have a Supreme Court that's gonna actually maybe listen to us and take our values in consideration. Plus, we elect Trump, you're gonna get judges, you're gonna get federal judges, more judges. And that's really what it comes down to, unfortunately. When they overstep their bounds in New York City, we can stop them in the courts and we can stop them in the Senate if you let us get there. So we can prevent new stuff. We do need some help with the changing of it. But there is legislation pending that's going through. The Supreme Court will be on our side, hopefully.
And for us, the best thing that we can do with our vote and with our energy is flip two seats and hold 2 seats, right? That's what we're looking to do right here, is hold 2 seats and flip 2 seats. And, you know, we can have a major impact here with the sportsmen.
absolutely.
So that's the message.
And the
to get
Preservation
back
Act, I
up to
know
the
you guys are probably supportive of that. I have to say that the Assembly passed it in bipartisan fashion, and it's been blockaded by my opponent in the Senate. And actually, Jen Metzger, who doesn't get too much right, she actually supported it. Sorry, Mike, she does do a couple things right, not too many. but you know, she was worse for the farmers than COVID, according to the farmers told the county executive in Orange County. I mean, she hurt them worse than COVID. The Farm Bill, there were 60 hours overtime, now they're looking to go to 40. So from top to bottom, I mean, it's just, you can't believe how much of a mess in the last year and a half they've made in the Senate. I mean, it's unbelievable. It lacks any kind of common sense.
What's
Yes,
the latest with the
David?
red flag law?
I don't know. Any of you guys know? The red flag?
That's where school teachers can, or somebody, if your kid like talks about weapons at home, I know that was going through the motions of trying to go, you're aware of it. Basically, they can put a hearing to pull your license or pull the firearms out of your house without proper.
They can take your firearms without having a hearing.
Due process.
And then, how long does it take to get a court date?
Yeah.
No, with no proof, with no proof.
Yeah, well, I think you know where we four gentlemen are gonna stand.
No, I know.
I don't know much about it, but I'm
Right.
sure. So, but I thank you guys. I forgot to mention Wayne Peterson, my buddy. He used a lot of Brescia lumber back in the day too. I don't really see him every once in a while when the economy gets a little bit. Good to see you, Wayne. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thanks again for having me.